My name's Juliet Grayson, and this is my journey in shame. When I first thought about shame, I didn't even know I felt it. I would have said I was shy, easily embarrassed perhaps, but I didn't realize it was shame, toxic shame. Looking back, I see it everywhere, in my childhood and in my adult life. I couldn't ask the neighbours for a cup of tea. Shame stopped me. I never expected people to remember me, even those I'd worked with every day for over a year. Shame also shut down my anger. I think my inability to hold my own anger led me to marry the angriest man I could find, and then I shamed him for it. That was my first husband. When I was sacked after 12 years at a company, working part-time, I carried that shame too, masking it with resentment and blame, and quietly passing it on. It's been almost 30 years since I got together with my current husband, William Ayotte. He told me that shame was the most important thing to understand, and that most therapists don't understand it. I didn't either. Not then, and not for a very long time. He told me that right at the beginning of our relationship. Now I see that shame exists on a spectrum, from feeling shamed to being shameless, from grandiosity to non-entity, from superiority to worthlessness. I like William's distinction. Shame is about who you are, guilt is about what you do. Years later, William and I were asked to give a talk called Shame and Compassion for online events. I told William, I'll talk about compassion, you talk about shame. But as I was preparing for the talk, I started reading more deeply about shame. And then came the revelation. What I'd always called shyness or embarrassment was actually shame. The penny finally dropped. Carl Jung called shame a soul-eating emotion. William describes it as a feeling of total overwhelm that utterly diminishes you. I began to see how shame binds and freezes. Emotions like grief and anger and sadness can move through to completion, but shame halts the process. I now tell clients, if you feel stuck, that could be shame. I see shame everywhere, hidden beneath withdrawal, denial, or rage. As William says, it's like a fish swimming in water. It's just there and we don't notice it. I certainly didn't. So what do we do with shame? Too often we pass it on. We keep that dark flame alive without even realizing it. Recognizing this both as someone who's suffered from shame and someone who's transmitted it has been my deepest and most important learning. After that first talk on shame and compassion, William and I went on to give 2 full series of talks on shame, 13 talks in total. You can find them on our website, jandw.thinkific.com, thinkific.com. There's nothing like teaching a subject to make you truly study it, confront it, and live its lessons. Now I don't feel shame. I understand it. I can see its disguises. I know how it infects relationships and quietly steals years from a life. But I also know how to meet it with compassion, how to interrupt the cycle, and how to guide someone back from that cold, exiled place back into connection, dignity, and quiet self-worth. What's really interesting is that the topic I studied for decades, the Pesso-Boyden system of psychotherapy, is naturally a counter-shaming methodology. So I had that in my armory of tools to help with clients. My own shame, once invisible, now stands in the light, and in the light it has loosened its grip. If there's any wisdom here, it might be this. Shame thrives in secrecy, but it cannot survive compassion. Once we see it clearly, we have a choice. Carry it or lay it down and begin again. So check out the talks on check out the talks on jandw dot thinkific.com. Take care. Go well. Bye.